Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Good day. This is part of entreinstitute.com training. It's video one. They had the word excellent here, the E word, and they talked about distinction, quality, high quality, superiority, brilliance, greatness, merit, caliber, eminence, preeminence, supremacy, fearlessness, transcendent, value, worth, like the value and worth there, and high quality, distinction. Anyhow, he also talked about you don't have to win to have excellence over someone else. Let's go on to a couple other things. He also talked about building maintenance and optimizing your body and mind. I thought, man, I just need to work on all these areas and relationships, evolving relationships. Talked about a lot of great things. Um, I also talked with or saw a video by someone else that talked about some of these things. It's just amazing. Others, close friends, children, talk about relationships. He got into creativity and the energy that should come from creativity and influence. You want influence in your life. You want creativity and energy. You want to be able to leave your mark. You want to be able to make a change in yourself and others as you work and offer value. Let's go on here further. This was interesting when he talked about running your life like a CEO. See if we're quite there yet.
That is valuable to you as a framework across physical, personal, and professional excellence to start to develop these key performance indicators to see, hey, how am I really doing?
We all need to evaluate what we are, where we're going, how we're getting there. So key performance indicators. I thought that was really interesting in a lot of different ways.
It's been game changing for me. I can tell you at a personal level, this has absolutely revolutionized my life to start thinking about my life in these terms. And for some people, it might
Is this working?
feel overly pedantic or overly analytical, but the reality is the more you manage your life the way a CEO manages a business as a steward of resources and the chief officer of maintaining vision and direction and focus and constantly adapting and making changes, adjusting the things that aren't working, doubling down on the things that are, the more you approach your life that way, you will be blown away by how far and how fast you can go. And on the flip side, if you don't, the consequence of not approaching life that way is ultimately squandering opportunity and ending up in a place of regret. So I do think that the price is...
What a powerful statement. I'll leave it there and we might find some other gems before this finishes in a little over an hour. But I just thought that was well worth thinking about. I didn't know he had this book. I mean, I don't know this guy well. The Hacker's Guide to an Awesome Life.
Concept of hacking our way, being super, super efficient about gaining more ground in this world. So let's look at some hacks that can actually move us forward in this world. First of all, in physical, and you might see that little image there. Those are my vitamins. I used to do it myself. We have a personal assistant in our home that helps us with kids and life and travel and helping me remember where I left my keys and stuff. But one of her jobs is she actually helps me keep all my vitamins and my supplements organized. And that's a picture of it. And I'm not saying everybody has to be quite as insane as I am, but like that's the level of attention to detail that I'm talking about with really, really taking care of yourself. So anyways, first of all...
Now he said some key things here, attention to details. And now you're getting professional help, but you're talking about doing things in a high level of efficiency and performance, and stewardship as well as accountability and responsibility. Pretty interesting.
For me, and again, we talked about how this is personalized. A lot of this stuff is personalized for me. I'm trying to generally prescribe for people at large, but I still can only operate from the base of my own experience. And some of this stuff is somewhat tailored to my own life. But here's the thing. If I'm getting up early, I know I'm kicking butt in this world. It's that simple. As long as I'm getting up and taking action before 5 o'clock, I can map my life. And the successful phases of my life are the phases when I was getting up early and taking action. And the laggard phases of my life are frankly the times when I was sleeping in. It's a strict one-to-one relationship for me. The two always go hand in hand. Intermittent fasting has been a really big hack for me. I only eat between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. My wife does this with me. And one of the greatest things about it is it gives me 18 hours a day minus sleep. Obviously, I sleep in that window. When I just don't have to deal with the logistics of food. I found that we spend so much time, never mind what it does for your energy levels, never mind what it does for your immune system, never mind what it does for your mental clarity. Just the simple logistics of not having to deal with food 3/4 of the time frees up so much time. And then it has all those other benefits as well. Macronutrient ratios, I've experimented with these. This is the ratio of protein, fats, and carbohydrates as measured by total calories in your diet. I've experimented with these, and I have found for myself that getting 60% of my calories from protein, 30% of my calories from fat, and 10% of my calories from carbohydrates gives me, by a significant margin over any other permutation of those three, gives me the most energy, the most mental clarity, the most appetite control, and just generally the most effective life. Meditation, prayer, and I include art in that for those of you who are artistic. I think anybody who is artistic would understand why I include that in that cluster. I find that personally, if I do a 5-minute meditation or play the piano for 30 minutes, I will have a significantly enhanced day versus if I don't do one of those two things. So that's my hack, is if I think I'm going to be able to play the piano, I try to get to it. I do my 30 minutes and just everything else seems to click for the rest of the day. Or if I'm traveling, I'm not going to be able to do that. At least a 5-minute prayerful meditation. And then supplementation, I just want to suggest to you that you approach supplementation in two different ways. There's what I call gap supplementation, which is basically dealing with the insufficiency of the modern diet, partly because of just food processing, partly because of environment. I don't know all the reasons. I just know that typically if you go get a blood panel done, you're going to find that there are deficiencies coming from your natural diet, and that you properly supplement those gaps because it does make a measurable difference in your quality of life. But then there's a whole other level of supplementation that's about optimization. This would be things like nootropics, things that can help with mental clarity or enhance mental clarity. And it's not my place or the intent of the Entre Blueprint to be a comprehensive guide to health and nutrition. I really encourage people in the direction of becoming educated about this, and as a personal success story and testimonial, that the more you invest in this part of your life, mentally, time-wise, financially, the more benefits you will see over the course of your life. It's not something I think you'll ever regret investing in. And then hormone balancing. If you're over 25, go see an endocrinologist or a hormone replacement clinic, or if you're a woman, go see your gynecologist and get your hormones checked. I have found in conversation with people, it's probably happened 20 or 30 times now, where a casual conversation has turned into somebody sharing with me their story about how when they were 32 years old or 27 years old or 41 years old or whatever, they essentially had a turning point in their life when they figured out that their hormones were out of balance and they actually dealt with it. I personally have a similar story around I was 29, 30 years old. I just strongly encourage people to get really, really diligent about managing that part of their life. You know, as human beings, we live so much longer now than we did for most of our history. And we have all of these environmental factors now that it's no wonder that our endocrine systems tend to be a mess by the time most of us are 30 or 35 years old. So tend to that. I just strongly encourage that. And then personal hacks. One of the biggest breakthroughs for my life was the day that somebody explained to me I needed to stop trying to build relationships in groups. And in particular, it was in the context of my family. You know, I'm married. At the time, I had 3 kids. I now have 4 kids. He said, you're never going to build the relationships you want with your children when you're hanging out with your other children. You can build certain relationships in family group settings, but if you really want to bond with your kids, take them out on dates. You know, go one-on-one. Take your Take your son to lunch. Go visit your daughter at school and check her out of class and hang out with her for 30 minutes. And obviously, I think a lot of people understand the concept of date night with their spouse is really important for building, romantic or life partnerships. But I find that it's just as essential with my kids, and frankly, it's just as essential with my friends. If I want to have deep relationships with someone, I need to spend one-on-one time with them. And what I find is that you can spend one-on-one time with somebody once every 3 months and build significantly more relationship with them than if you see them twice a week socially or in a group setting. So it's actually a major hack and a major efficiency gain in terms of time to just say, hey, I'm going to primarily build relationships through one-on-one interaction. And then I did mention dates. I go on a date with my spouse.
So you're getting an idea of what he's talking about in the level of quality. We're going to end it here. This is just a peek, just a peek. But I think excellence and responsibility and accountability and following up and pushing the bar up is essential all through our lives. And I especially think it's essential when we're young, but I think it's even probably more essential as we get older if we want to have the life and the luxury and the influence on our children and grandchildren that we need. Wow, I've got a long ways to go. That's all I can tell you. He talks about a screenless day with his kids and spouse. No computers, no televisions, no cell phones.
With my kids, and frankly, it's just as essential with my friends. If I want to have deep relationships with someone, I need to spend one-on-one time with them. And what I find is that you can spend one-on-one time with somebody once every 3 months and build significantly more relationship with them than if you see them twice a week socially or in a group setting. So it's actually a major hack and a major efficiency gain in terms of time to just say, hey, I'm going to primarily build relationships through one-on-one interaction. And then I did mention dates. I go on a date with my spouse every single day. We get up at, usually around 4:30, maybe 5 in the morning, and we go work out together every single day. I would say in a 365-day year, we might miss 10 days at most because of travel or some other disruption. We get up and work out together, just the two of us, every single day. We have a daily date, and it is impossible to describe the difference that it's made in the quality of our relationship. And then also with my kids, I strive for a date once a week. Again, it's kind of a key performance indicator how well I'm doing with it, but some sort of one-on-one date with my children once a week with no screens involved, not watching TV, not watching a movie, not staring at our phones, a screenless date. Obviously with younger kids, you want that to be more frequent. I have a 3-year-old girl. I obviously try to spend quality time with her every day, but for older kids, I have a couple teenagers, still that once a week connection with no screens is hugely important. I do try to practice daily send a friend is what I call it, and I use voice text. So what I do is I look for windows of time in my life when there's nothing else that I would or could be doing. I'm talking about when I'm walking to my car or I'm getting on an elevator, hopefully with no one else on it, so I'm not that annoying guy. Or I do a lot of this when I'm at the gym on a bike or a Stairmaster. Times when you're physically otherwise occupied, you can use this feature on your phone called voice text and simply pick up your phone and talk right into your phone and narrate a message and send a friend. You can literally just check in with people. You can take increments of 30 seconds that would otherwise be allocated to things that you couldn't be productive with anyways, and use those as opportune moments to check in with people. Honestly, probably half the emails I send out, if you're on my list, half the emails you get from me, I write via voice text while I'm on a bike or a Stairmaster. It's just so incredible how much communication you can produce and how efficient you can be with your time without the use of your hands now, thanks to technology. And then a big personal hack for me is a practice of gratitude. If you study personal development at all, you probably hear a lot about gratitude. The only thing I have to add to the conversation really is just to write it down and share it. I have found that it's totally one thing for me to sit there and think about things that I'm grateful for. It is a whole other world for me to actually write them down and even to share with people things I'm grateful for about them. If you want
Interesting. Write them down and share those things you're grateful about them for. And share that with them. Wow. Now he talks about efficacy or being effective and checks on this. Wow, I just have so much room for growth.
Anyways, and use those as opportune moments to check in with people. Honestly, probably half the emails I send out, if you're on my list, half the emails you get from me, I write via voice text while I'm on a bike or a Stairmaster. It's just so incredible how much communication you can produce and how efficient you can be with your time without the use of your hands now, thanks to technology. And then a big personal hack for me is a practice of gratitude. If you study personal development at all, you probably hear a lot about gratitude. The only thing I have to add to the conversation really is just to write it down and share it. I have found that it's totally one thing for me to sit there and think about things that I'm grateful for. It is a whole other world for me to actually write them down and even to share with people things I'm grateful for about them. If you want to deepen a relationship at warp speed and in a really authentic, powerful way, write down things that you're grateful for about a person and give it to them in written form. It's a huge hack for relationship building and depth of connection and ultimately being more effective in this world. And then professional hacks, first of all, self-efficacy. I mentioned that term. I have found this to be literally at the core of effective living is, am I allocating time, energy, money, and any and all available resources only to things where I can actually be effective, where I can actually have some control or impact on the outcome. If I can't control the outcome, it is 100% wasteful for me to even be paying attention. I check in on my own self-efficacy multiple times a day across all three areas of excellence. I encourage you to do the same. Time chunking, this concept of exclusionary focus on the task at hand, whatever the thing is, for a preset unit of time, depending on what the task is, depending on your schedule, will impact the unit of time. But being extremely deliberate about blocking off time, blocking out distractions, and focusing within a chunk of time. I literally couldn't do my life without it. One of the biggest questions I get asked by people is how I get everything done, how I'm able to be so productive. And I can say unequivocally that if I didn't chunk my time, certainly nobody would be asking me that question. And then within time chunking is also a concept called project chunking, where you group like tasks. Essentially, you figure out things that are similar in nature. For example, I'll use for myself, like content creation, producing a video, let's say, and getting it, hosted to the web.
We're going to end it here because I don't want to get into this and I don't want to battle over content. But this gives you an idea of the quality we're talking about, and from this individual. So this is high quality time, high quality efficiency, high quality results. And I think I finally found a home. It's Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day. Wow, he talks about IPA, income producing activities. And he's pretty blunt about it. Here goes.
Day, there needs to be something that I can deliver myself. I want to give myself the present every single day of finishing something, even if it's a chunk of a larger project. I want to be able to check a box. Again, progress is happiness. Happiness is progress, right? You got to check something off every day, these daily self-deliverables. And then IPAs, no, I'm not talking about a certain type of beer. I'm talking about income producing activities. These must be tended to first and foremost, to the exclusion, even the insolent rejection of all other things in your business until these are handled. If you do not have sales, you do not have a business. If you do not have revenue, you do not have oxygen. I use the airplane mask analogy. If there is not air flowing to you, you cannot help yourself and you cannot help anyone else. You must tend to these first. And then finally, the Pareto principle, where I think a lot of us are familiar with the 80-20 rule, that 20% of our activities yield us 80% of our results, and 80% of activities only yield us 20% of our results. What I have to add to that conversation is a very clear understanding that we all want to say yes to the things that get us 80% of the results. But in order to do that, you have to get really, really good at saying no to the 80% of things that only yield you 20% of the results. And again, as a coach across years and years now and working with hundreds and hundreds of people, What I have found is the enemy of progress, and therefore the enemy of happiness and joy, is people's inability or difficulty saying no to the 80% of things in their life that aren't producing them the maximum result. So those are my hacks, my tactical shortcuts.
Wow, what a powerful first lesson. Like I said, there was over an hour of it. Um, Take a look at this company, and this is only the beginning. I think after 20 years, my prayers have been answered, and I found the right team. I've got to do whatever it takes to become a part of this program and a part of this group. Swaj Mark from Boyd's, Montana. Good day. I'm going to end this with something that it's in here, but it's not really talked about right in my mind, because we are going to live forever, and we are going to become like Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. So this eternal learning does not only experiment with things and have interaction with relations and change our habits and our being, actually changes our being, to become like Heavenly Father and like Heavenly Mother. And that's part of the ministry coming out of me, but there's much more to all this, and there's much more growth in all these areas that we need to obtain if we're going to become perfect like Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. We're going to end it here. Again, Swaj Mark from Montana. Good day.